Comedy legend Louis Black is bringing Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour, to Steelhouse on Sunday, February 25th. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 17th at 10 a.m. Get yours at steelhouseomaha.com.
Right now, new and current customers can get any phone for free at US Cellular, so you can connect with all your family members this holiday season. You can even call your aunt, who always makes you talk to your cousin, who's a dog. Or, maybe just send her a festive text. Get the gift of connection at US Cellular. Get any phone free today. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
We value human connection with fewer distractions. US Cellular, built for us. Visit your US Cellular authorized agent, Cellular Advantage, located at 918 South Locust Street in Glenwood.
Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, I talk with Albert Corado about his sister Mely, who was gunned down at Trader Joe's 5 years ago.
He said there's an active shooter situation at Mely's Trader Joe's. We can't get a hold of her. No one knows what's going on. First thing I did once I hung up was called Mely, and called her and didn't answer. I texted her, "Hey, are you okay? Hey, what's going on?" I figured, at this point, no one knows what's going on. No one knows if it's somebody went in there and shot a bunch of people, or it's kind of hard to follow. I'm following along on Twitter. Got a phone call from Trader Joe's, and they were saying, "Oh, well, we can tell you that your sister's been shot." She said, "We don't know if she's made it or not."
Today on the show, I'm talking with Albert Corado about his sister Mely, who was killed 5 years ago at Trader Joe's. Stay close.
Hey, it's Albert Corado, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. I hope you guys liked the show last week with journalist and comedy writer Mike Sachs. Mike Sachs is a funny motherfucker, man. I'm telling you, I really enjoyed speaking with him. He told us a short story about high school and a memory about his friend getting killed. But besides that, Mike just talked about a lot of his journalism experience and interviewing Natalie Merchant, who's one of my favorites. And he's just a really great guy. Super funny, super interesting. So go back, you guys. Listen to Mike Sachs last week. But stick with me today, because today I'm re-airing an episode with Albert Corado. Now, Albert he's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. And his sister, Mely, was killed 5 years ago in July at Trader Joe's, where she was a manager. And the other day, it would have been Mely's birthday, April 23rd. And I was thinking about Mely and thinking about her brother. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to re-air that story because it's important and it shouldn't have happened. And the LAPD were wrong. Well, you'll hear about what happened, but, it's a whole story. And Albert and his family filed a lawsuit, and it continues to go on. It's all very devastating, but yet the story is fascinating, and it's really an important story to hear. So enjoy the story today with Albert Corado. And I wanted to remind you guys also that we are playing Story Smash, the storytelling game show, on Saturday, May 20th at the Lyric Hyperion in Silver Lake. So if you're in Los Angeles, make sure you get your tickets for Story Smash with Danny Zucker, Melissa Peterman, and Blanca Patch. That's the dream team, you guys. That's the dream team. Story Smash, May 20th. You can check it out at storysmashshow.com and you'll get the tickets. And you can also follow the show on Instagram at Story Smash. All right, you guys. Again, I appreciate you guys listening. I'm heading into my 13th year podcasting, and the audience, you guys are what keep me going. And thank you so much for everybody that listens week in and week out. And thank you for belonging to my mailing list, which I send out about once a week or every other week. If you want to join my mailing list, just go to storyworthypodcast.com and a thing will pop up right away and you can get on my mailing list. All right, you guys, I really hope you enjoy this story from 5 years ago with Albert Corado.
All right, so July 21st was, like any other day that I had ever lived. I woke up, went to work. I was actually working at two separate cafes trying to save money. And woke up to go to one, worked about 6 hours, went home to take a nap, took a shower, went to my other job, and Minneapolis is about 2 hours ahead of us, ahead of LA in time. So around, I'd say about 5:30 or so, maybe 5:45, I get a call from my dad. And I moved out there and I'd been there for about 4 months, so he called me a couple times a week. I think he was, because I had moved away before to San Francisco, but that's 5 hours away. It's still the same state. I think he was a little, he was missing me a lot because I'm 2,000 miles away, halfway across the country. And so he would call me 2 times a week. So I figured, I'll let it go to voicemail because I'm at work. I'll call him, later tonight or tomorrow. And then immediately I got a call from my brother. And my brother is, he lives in Jersey. And, he calls me occasionally, but I wasn't really sure. I figured, something is up. Like, why would they call me one right after the other? Like, this doesn't happen. So clearly something's up. So I went outside and he said, I said, hey, what's up? And he said, there's an active shooter situation at Mely's Trader Joe's. We can't get a hold of her. No one knows what's going on. And I just freaked and I said, oh no. And he told me, he's my older brother. He's 10 years older than me. And he told me, it's okay, it's going to be fine. Just don't worry about it. I thought, you need to know because we don't know what's going on. And so I kind of sat there in my coffee shop, just kind of at a loss for words. And, first thing I did once I hung up was called Mely, and called her and didn't answer. I texted her, hey, are you okay? Hey, what's going on? I figured, at this point, no one knows what's going on. No one knows if it's somebody went in there and shot a bunch of people, or, it's kind of hard to follow. I'm following along on Twitter because people are starting to freak out. And so, my boss kind of tells me, just go home, just go. And I said, okay, I didn't know what to do. I was playing phone tag with my dad and my brother and my sister's 2 roommates who are, we had a little family group. Like, my sister's best friend is engaged to my best friend, and we're so then my sister was living with them at the time. So they were all there in LA. They were back here trying to figure out what the hell was going on. At this point, there's barricades, and there's the church, the Silver Lake Community Church is now the meeting center. And, I'm feeling completely helpless because I'm 2,000 miles away. I'm trying to figure out what to do, and we still don't know what happened with Mely. And as time goes on, I remember driving home, and I stopped maybe 6 or 7 blocks from my house. And I figured, I know that Twitter can be kind of a good resource because it can help people out in an emergency. It can connect people. And again, I know from firsthand experience, I've met people on Twitter that live far away, but I can talk to at a moment's notice. And so I figured I'm gonna tweet something out because at that point they were saying, oh, well, a bunch of people were able to get out. And, now this guy's taking hostages. And so I figured, okay, well, if Mely was able to get out, maybe she didn't have her phone on her. I thought maybe she can't answer because this guy is taking them hostage. Again, nothing is really known. At that point, no one knew what the hell was going on, except that this guy was in there with hostages and 30 or 40 people escaped. So I pulled over and I tweeted out, my sister is a manager at Trader Joe's, and I can't get a hold of her. And I'm hoping that if somebody sees this, they can tell her that I'm looking for her. I'm scared for my sister. And then I followed it up right away with my sister's name as Mely to Corado, just in case. I figured, okay, well, she might be with somebody at this reunification center that they're talking about, or the Silver Lake Church, and somebody's going to see it and say, oh, your brother's looking for you. And she'll call me, and this whole thing will blow over. And, my phone is blowing up with retweets, and it was great because people were like, oh, we're so sorry to hear. We hope you find her. And as time keeps going, it becomes more surreal that we don't know what the hell is going on. And I'm calling my dad, and he doesn't know what's going on. And I'm calling my sister's roommates, Angel and Rocio, and they don't know what's going on. And it's just madness. No one knows what the hell is going on. And this kind of continues for another hour or so. And then finally, I start to get I got a phone call from Trader Joe's, and they were saying, oh, well, we can tell you that your sister's been shot. We don't know the real details about it. We don't, she said, we don't know if she's made it or not. And that kind of struck this fear into my heart that this could go another way. This could turn into me not having a sister anymore. And it filled my heart with this intense fear, and I started to feel nauseous, and she said, but we'll keep in touch with you, just keep your phone on, and we'll let you know if anything happens. And so, again, this is all phone tag, and then my phone is blowing up because people are saying, oh, well, they're trying to, give me a helping hand. Oh, the reunification center is here, and we hope you find your sister. And I felt, again, very helpless, but kind of, okay, well, people are keeping an eye out. But I'm thinking, well, at this point, it's been an hour and a half since I tweeted, like somebody must have seen her, or somebody must know where she is. And I figured, well, maybe she's in the hospital. We don't, she didn't tell me anything except she's been shot. And so finally I call my brother, and he's, we're still holding out hope, and say, okay, well, we're calling every single hospital we can. And my dad is too. And he's, I can hear it in his voice that as time goes on, he's becoming less and less confident that Mely has made it. Because now we know the fact that she was shot. And so finally I call my roommate, or my sister's roommate, Angel, who's my best friend. And I say, hey, man, like, I don't know what's going on. I got this call from Trader Joe's saying she was shot, but they think she's okay. And then he just said, Albert, I'm sorry, she's dead. And, I hung up the phone, and I was, at this point, had driven up, and I was outside of my house waiting to hear back word. And I just kind of sat on the sidewalk, and just kind of try to figure out what that meant. My sister and I were very, very, very close. And so I just thought, how is this happening? Because earlier in the day, I was thinking, as I was watching this unfold on Twitter, I kind of had this thought that a lot of people have, like, well, that doesn't happen to me, right? This is what happens to people on the news. It's something you hear about on the news, and you say, oh, that's horrible. And then you just kind of move on. And then I was like, oh, I guess I'm the guy that everyone's happy they're not right now. And when all that happened, no one knew who this person, that they knew that they were reporting that a person had died, and they didn't know who it was. And at this point, so many people were, hey, we heard somebody died. Like, I hope your sister's okay. I mean, people I've never met, thousands of people on Twitter replying. And I just remember feeling like I have to tell people. People are going to know at some point. And I just found this out. So maybe about half an hour after I got that first call, I finally was able to kind of compose myself. And I just said, I'm sad to say she didn't make it, And at that point, I had called a few people, including my roommates, for a ride to the airport. Because I just said, I was going to go back to LA. Even if she had been shot and survived, I figured my sister's going to need me. My family's going to need me. And so I had gone to the airport, and I couldn't find a flight home. And Minneapolis airport isn't LAX. It's not a place that is open at all hours of the night, so I couldn't get home. And I just remember calling my dad, and I said, Dad, I can't come home right now. Like, I have to wait till, 6 a.m. for the first flight out. He said, that's, and through tears, and I, never really heard my dad cry like that. And he said, just come home. And I just will never forget him saying that, just come home. Like, we need you right now. And we all need to be together. And so I got picked up by my roommate, and he was the first person that I had told what had happened. And I had just seen him earlier in the day, so he's like, why are you at the airport? I said, I'll explain to you later. And so he picked me up. He started crying with me, and I was just trying to make sense of it. And I remember I had bought this cheap rum the night before for a friend's housewarming party. And I forgot it because I brought beer, and I forgot to bring the rum. And I just remember I got home, and I poured myself a glass and just try to make sense of what the hell was going on. And as every minute went by, and I kept getting calls from my family. I have family in El Salvador, in Australia. I had people, friends. I worked at Trader Joe's with Mely for a year and a half at Toluca Lake. And she had been transferred maybe 8 months before to Silver Lake when she got promoted to manager. And so I knew a lot of people that worked with her, and they were my friends too. And so everyone's calling me, and we're all trying to figure out how the hell this happened. And so for the rest of the night, I remember just sitting there and occasionally looking at my phone and seeing people we're so sorry. And I remember getting the first call from CNN. I remember was the first news organization that reached out to me. Hey, we're so sorry about your sister, but do you want to talk about her? I said, not really. I said, all you need to know is that she was the person I love the most in the world. She was our mom died when I was 14 and Mely was 11. And she helped me get through that, and I helped her. And we became, we were always going to be close because we were close in age. And we enjoyed each other. And I was a classic big brother, and I would tease her and all that. But because we went through that, we remained so close, even in adulthood. Even when I moved away, she always was supportive, and we talked all the time. And I had talked to her a few days before and texted her with her the night before. So I just told him, I said, I'm not ready to go on a whole thing, but I need the world to know that she was everything to me. She was my baby sister. My earliest memory is of my parents bringing her home. And I was only 2.5, and I remember it so vividly. And now to be sitting on a sidewalk in Minneapolis, 2,000 miles away from my dad, and thinking that his daughter is now dead. I sat in my room and just kind of tried to prepare myself for what could possibly come next. Now, it's hard enough hearing it, but now seeing it and now being around my dad and all these people and not knowing the impact it was going to have on the city of LA and all that. But I just remember asking the person on CNN, well, how did you get my number? They said, well, one of our assistants found it online. And then the whole night I'm sitting there trying to come to terms with what just happened, and I'm getting called by every major news organization. And it's, it kind of reminded me of that movie, Bowling for Columbine. They have the calls that the news organizations are making to parents of kids who've been killed and people who go to Columbine trying to get a scoop. And I just felt like my sister literally is just dead. Like she just died. We just found this out. Like I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to sit there in front of the world and say more than what is in my heart right now, is that I loved her more than anything in this world. And, at that point I was thinking, how the hell am I going to get through this life without her? How? Like, because we had all these plans. We had, we were always going to keep in touch, and no matter where we lived, our kids were gonna know each other. And we didn't have children, but we always thought, that'd be cool. They're going to be close like we are, because we were so close. And one of the things that kind of brought me a little bit of comfort was, that night, a lot of people just said, yeah, you were the first person I thought about when I heard, because they knew how close we were. They had seen us be so close and saw how much we cared about each other, even if we were bickering like siblings do. We cared about each other in such a deep way, because we saw each other transform in front of each other's eyes because of our mom's death. And Mely became who she was, this strong, outspoken woman who really didn't take shit from anybody. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse. And I became who I was because of that. And she was at my side in every single moment. When my mom got sick, to her doing chemo, to her coming to hospice, and then to her being dead, she was there. And then every moment after that, every moment of grieving, every time we're trying to figure something out, why the hell do we feel this way? And so to now have her gone and sitting on my bed in Minneapolis, regretting that I had moved away, that I didn't get to spend her last birthday with her. And, and of course, those thoughts leave because, no one could have known that this was going to happen. But at the time, I just felt so just helpless and like I should have been there. I should have done something, but there was nothing any of us could have done. And, I flew home the next morning, and I got here about 9 a.m. and I was picked up by my sister's roommates, and, we didn't really talk because we were just in shock. And it took us about an hour to get to where my dad was. He was at my uncle's house in Covina. And at that point, I didn't really know what was going to happen, if I was going to go back to Minneapolis, or I knew I'd be here about 2 weeks. And then I'd figure something out, maybe go back there and see what was what. And, but as soon as I saw him, I just knew, I was like, I can't leave. I can't even go back to get my stuff. I had to get all my stuff shipped back to me, because I saw this look in his eyes, and he saw it in mine, that like, this is nothing short of full-scale devastation. I've never seen my dad look that way. And he's a strong, loud, charismatic dude who was always had something to say about something. And to see him rendered speechless at the thought of his daughter dying. And, I've kind of learned over my 30 years of life that, like, you only ever really share a handful of honest moments with anybody. Truly, truly honest, when there's no artifice. And one of them was with my mom. And we looked at each other, and I knew that she wasn't going to make it, and she knew it too. And then she told me, take care of Mely. And when I looked at my dad, that was another one of those honest moments of like, we don't know what to do. We don't know. There is no playbook for this. There is no way to get through this without losing a bit of ourselves. And, since that day, we've just been grieving and trying to figure it out. But I'll never, ever forget him saying, just come home. Because we knew that whatever the road held for us was going to be something that is going to shape us in ways that we can't even imagine right now. And, I just went back to Minneapolis recently for the first time since it all happened. And I remember I just stood at the spot where I got the call that Mely died. And I just felt, an odd sense of comfort, but also just like, this isn't my life anymore. That life that I was living there, trying to find a new start, ended when I got that call. And it was my worst fear realized, because once you lose someone, kind of important, like when I lost my mom, you sort of live with this constant fear that you're going to lose people. And I've had friends since my mom. I had a couple of friends commit suicide. I had a girl that I was dating die of a brain aneurysm, and you live with this constant fear. And Mely and I always lived with this really constant fear that, what if, we got to make sure Dad is okay. But I never thought for a moment that it was going to be Mely was the one that we would have to worry about. And and the morning I got there, we went to the morgue and we had to identify the body. And I had to do that because I knew that the last time I saw her alive was in March, and I just saw her go into her room and close the door. And I said, I need to see, not like I'm some kid. I don't know that she is actually dead, but I needed to see it with my own eyes. And, you see someone as they never were. I saw her come home wrapped up in a blanket when she was, 2 days old. And then to have to look through a mirror and see her body there it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. And I look at my dad every day and I see him struggle with it, because she was my sister, she was my world, but I don't know the feeling of raising a child and hoping you did your best and that they become their own person and they have their own life, and then to have it stop like that. I don't know that. And it brings me a lot of pain to know that my dad has to live with that. Has to live with the fear of every parent of losing a daughter. And my brother, he has a daughter, my 12-year-old niece, and I love her so much, and I see how much he loves her, and I can see how affected he is about even the thought of losing her. And knowing that my dad has to go through that right now is the hardest thing in the world. Because I had 15 years of grieving for my mom to prepare for this. Unfortunately, that's what it ended up being, was preparation for this horrible thing. But my dad, there's nothing that can prepare you for that.
Listen, I am so glad you are here for your dad now, and I'm so glad you live in Los Angeles, Albert. It's really good that you came home. You guys really need each other.
Yeah, I knew. I guess I maybe always knew in the back of my head, but I just, that moment, I just said, no, I can't. And right now I'm feeling like I can't ever live away from home again. Yeah. I always have to have my dad by my side, and we've spent pretty much every day together for the last 4 months.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's good. He's your friend.
Yeah, he's my friend. I mean, we're definitely two yangs is what I'll say. We're very similar and very like
two peas in a pod.
He's just a certain way and I'm a certain way, and there's definitely times where we clash, where we're on a long drive and things get to us, but at this, but then I look at him and I realize like there's no one in the world I'd rather be with than him.
Yeah, that's love.
And going back to Minneapolis, while I feel it's a bummer that I got my time there was cut short, it's like I don't really care that much because I'd rather be where I'm needed.
Of course. When you go back to that spot in Minneapolis, that's straight on PTSD. When you see a spot like that brings back all those emotions and feelings. Hey, listen, are you a public speaker or have you been in the past?
No. I mean, I've No.
You speak so clearly and
thank you.
so well. You're very articulate, and you create these. I mean, the story is obviously very fresh and very real to you, but you're able to add so many nuances that, you know, I mean, I was right there with you.
I appreciate that. I mean, I will say I did a couple plays in high school.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, I've hosted a podcast for a few years, so maybe it's that. But I don't know. I mean, my dad was the same way. Mely was kind of the same way. We always know how to talk. So
yeah.
I mean, I talk a lot. So.
When you heard that she was shot, did you assume that it was from the assailant, the guy that was running from the police?
Yeah. We didn't. Again, nothing was known at that point. Nothing was known, and then it came to light that wasn't the case. That the guy was running into the store, and the police shot at him, and then she got caught in the crossfire. But yeah, initially I thought, it was some guy who came in and started shooting people because that's what happens in America now. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've had on like Monday there was 3. In across the
when
nation.
You hear the word an active shooter, you think that there's somebody with a gun who's shooting the people around them.
Yeah, I mean, and
this was the case that this guy had been escaping the police. He was in a car. So what was going on? He had already killed
He shot his grandmother. They say about 7 times. She survived.
She survived.
I know that's another one of those like. How does the universe work this way?
How did she survive? Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so he was, and they chased him and his tire blew out outside of Trader Joe's. He hit a light pole and he ran into the store and they shot at him.
So wait, did their bullet shoot his tire? Is that what?
I don't know actually. I don't know how it got to be that way. There's a video that I've seen a few times of the body cams. I don't actually know how the
because
tire
he crashed
came to be
into
that
pole, which is right at Trader Joe's where people stand out and collect signatures or money for different organizations. Right there, he crashes into that pole. He jumps out of the car and he runs into the store.
The store, yeah.
Now, was he waving a gun or did he have a weapon pulled?
He had a weapon. As far as I can tell, he wasn't. He wasn't shooting, but he had it on him. But he was running into the store and they shot at him and shot at him a few times, and one of them hit Mely.
It just seems so incredulous that they're shooting into a crowded store.
Right. Well, I mean that's definitely one of those things that I think a lot of people have picked up on, is that it doesn't seem like something that should be done. Well, in any instance,
Of course not.
Especially in a Trader Joe's, which is, a very busy place. That particular Trader Joe's is, as I understand, the second busiest in the entire country.
Yeah. The first being the one in Times Square.
Right.
And so this Trader Joe's literally has like 50,000 people going in and out of its doors every week.
And also, people bring their children there. They're small children.
My daughter grew up at Trader Joe's.
Right. And, I remember, weirdly enough, going... Because my parents were divorced and I grew up mostly in the Valley, but my dad usually lived around here. So we've been going to that Trader Joe's for more than 20 years as well.
Yeah.
So to think that this place that we loved going to would play such a major role in our lives is kind of insane.
So you worked at the Trader Joe's in Toluca Lake with Mely.
I did for a year and a half.
And did you like that?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I ended up getting a coffee job maybe halfway in between that I liked a lot more. So I think my last few months at Trader Joe's were pretty I didn't like it because I was like, my coffee gig pays better and I get to listen to cool music and I don't have to, you still deal with a certain kind of customer, but Trader Joe's, I'll say that their customer service is obsessive.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't really dig that, so I would, so I would do a double and work my coffee shop job in the morning and be like, it's so fun and awesome. And I saw Kanye West and all that. And then,
Yeah, I applied for Trader Joe's twice, by the way. And
really?
Neither time. I didn't get chosen either time. I didn't even get an interview. I didn't get called.
When was this?
Probably 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, your personality is would fit well there. You're so bubbly and fun. And
no, they don't. They I don't know what it takes, but I guess around here it's also I don't know, man. You have to give a headshot to get a job or something.
I've applied to restaurants and bartending gigs that headshot and something about yourself. I'm just trying to serve food. I don't know why that.
We need your social media followings.
Well, I mean, it's one of the odd sort of byproducts of all this is social media having played such a big part in dealing with Mely and getting the word out and all that. It's such a, I don't know. It's very strange now.
That tweet that you tweeted out
and you said you tweeted it out 30 minutes after you got the news. That was the tweet that broke my heart. And that's when I first met you, as it were. And you wrote, my world is over. And, and I remember, I think everybody, millions of people's hearts were just ripped out.
Yeah.
Because it was so honest and so truthful. And now that I've learned about what you guys shared in terms of the loss, and, she was only 11, my daughter's 11, and the fact that you bonded with her that way, you were so lucky to have that sort of relationship.
Yeah, it was it was one of the things I was proudest of in my life is the relationship that we shared, and knowing that no matter who was talking to me and who had ever met us, even for the tiniest bit of time, knew how much we cared about each other. I went on a Tinder date the night before, and this girl found out about it, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I could tell how much your sister meant to you." And I'd only, the date lasted like 2 or 3 hours. Like, we were such a giant part of each other's lives.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. And that's why it's such a heartbreaking thing to try to think about. 'Cause I remember we were in that room that you have the viewings in, right?
Yeah.
Where the body, and it was the morning of the burial. So it was the last time we were going to see Mely's body. The last of, we already had the memorial service the day before. A lot of people showed up, but now we're left with this final step. And I remember sitting there with my brother, and we're like losing our minds, and this is the last time we're going to see Mely. They're saying, "Oh, we're rounding up the cars. We're going to put her in the hearse. Like, it's time to go." And I just remember sitting there with my brother, and we looked at each other, and my uncle came over, and my uncle has lost 2 kids. He lost 2 kids within 2 years of each other. They were in their 20s. So he, this is for him. This is where his expertise lies now. And so I just remember him thinking him saying, he says, "I know you think this is the end, but it's not." And I'm still right now. I'm like, it feels like it. I don't know what comes after this.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like heartbreak times 1,000 when it's a death, because it's so final. So getting through the days, you sometimes just have to like count to 10 and just count to 10 over and over. Like, keep breathing. How do we go on?
I mean, for me right now, what helps is being with my dad. That's good. And sometimes, we talk a lot, and other days we don't. And that's okay. I think we're both okay with whatever the other person needs. And I was having a bit of separation anxiety when I went to Minneapolis. I was gone for like 6 days, and I just felt this, but at the same time, I was like, well, we both need this. We both need this thing, because we're always with each other, and it's wonderful. But again, we're just people. And so for us, I go to the gym a few times a week. That helps. That's 2 hours where I don't have to think about it. I feel good about it.
I find exercise is really good for heartbreak and sadness. For me, it's a good way to, sometimes I'll just go up into the park and just start running up a hill, because at least then I feel something.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the first time I was able to work out after everything happened was maybe like a week and a half. And I just remember feeling like, oh, okay, like not every single moment's going to be excruciating painful.
Listen, you can be such an inspiration, Albert, to other people going through trauma. And, actually, I saw that you went over to Thousand Oaks after that shooting.
We did.
And that was a very kind thing to do.
Well, I was talking to my dad, and like there are not a lot of people in the world who understand what we're going through and then what they're going through. And people can try to imagine and sympathize and all that, but I think the big thing that kind of brings us down and keeps us like kind of sad is how life has to go on. Life has to go on. Unfortunately, people have to go back to work, and the world keeps moving with or without Mely, with or without the 13 people in Thousand Oaks or the 11 people in Pittsburgh. And that is horrible, because, it leaves us with the wreckage. While the first 2 weeks, everyone is there. Everyone's reaching out and pouring out love and bringing you food, and it's wonderful. But then things kind of have to go back to the way they were for them. And that's fine. No judgment on that. But then, it leaves us. And those families in Thousand Oaks and Pittsburgh and all these other places are going to be left dealing with these emotions for years. And it's going to shape them. And unfortunately, it's not all going to be positive.
Okay, listen, do you think you might, take these experiences then and do some public speaking and travel a bit? Yeah. Because you really are so articulate, and the story is so compelling and so sad.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe, but right now it's still very raw, and I'm still.
It's only been 4 months.
Well, and also, had you talked to me, 3 weeks before, 3 weeks after it happened, I don't think I would have.
You couldn't, right? You wouldn't have the
pulled
language.
all this, but again, being with it every single day and going through it, and again, 15 years of learning how to deal with it and articulate my feelings about my mom, and have it all morph into these different things is. I mean, again, it's now I'm like, okay, I'm hitting the beats, as it were, of the grief. And okay, well, in 8 months I might be here. And the first year is such a crazy time. And, so I came on the show and hope to talk to people, because it's like, these things are horrible and they can really, really bring you down. And there could be ways I could be coping with this that aren't healthy, and I'm not doing that. I'm going to therapy for the first time in my life.
Good. You're so strong. You look really handsome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to have some sense of normalcy, whatever that might be.
So listen, is your family going to sue the LAPD?
I think, I think it's okay to say, by the time this comes out, we'll have filed a lawsuit.
Good.
Yeah, where we've been.
You have to.
Yeah, we've been prepping it. Takes a lot of time, a lot of effort.
I can't even imagine.
A lot of meetings, a lot of 9-hour meetings in attorneys' offices. A lot of, there's a weird amount of mundane things that have to be done when someone dies, but also when you're going to file this stuff. It's like, it's just very, very
Well, they make
draining.
it that way so that you don't go through with it, so that you just back off.
But we're ready.
You have to.
Yeah, but we're ready. Our lawyers say, if we take this all the way, this could take 2 years. I'm like, fine. That's the only downside is that the grieving isn't. I'm not fully able to do it because there's this other fight coming.
Yeah,
there's this thing, and we're going to keep having to hear about Mely's last moments. We keep hearing about the shooting, where she was shot. So I'm trying to prepare myself for that. But we're ready, and we're going to do it. And from the moment it happened, and the moment we found out that it was the police that did it, we knew that we had no other option. And you know what? The good thing about, and what I have loved about talking to people and people reaching out, is I think most people support us. Most people support that.
Hell yeah,
this should not have happened, and that you just don't do what they did.
It could happen to anybody.
And you know what?
I'm in and out of that Trader Joe's. I was there that morning. Yeah. I mean, I'm there all the time.
Till the end of time, that Trader Joe's will always be where Mely was killed. Yeah. No matter what they do, no matter what it is, even if they change the businesses and make it into something that's always going to, and for me, that's always going to be that, like the spot in Minneapolis, that spot is going to be something to the Corado family and to many, many, many thousands of people who, when Mely died, thought about their own children, thought about themselves being at work. You're at work. You don't expect that to happen. You're doing your thing. It's
just like remembering where you were on 9/11.
Right.
Remembering where all those moments in our lives. It's just ingrained, and then everything changes.
Yeah, and the LAPD loves to say, more people could have died, but one did, and for me, and it's the most tragic, catastrophic thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm happy more people didn't die. Of course, I'm happy for everyone who said that they usually go there, or that they were just there 10 minutes, and that's great. But I'm left with Mely, and I'm left with having to go to her grave, which I'm going to do after this.
She's so lucky you're her brother.
Well, thank you, and I me and my dad and my brother, we're ready to take this and do whatever. And if, whoever the hell we are after all this happens, we don't know. But
listen, you have a lot of support, man. This whole city is behind your family. Really.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of support as time goes on. And my responsibility for the rest of my life is going to be to Mely, and to making sure that she's remembered the way that we want her to be remembered.
You are going to be an advocate. You are going to be an advocate for victims' rights. Really.
That's what we want to do. And once
you're the one,
the dust settles, we'll move along with that. But for now, Mely is not here, and it tears me apart every day. And we'll see who I am in a few years. But for now, I have a very clearly defined goal is to take on the LAPD, and that's what we're going to have to do.
Right on, man. You got my support.
Thank you very much.
All right, you guys, I got to wrap it up. Head over to Twitter and follow Albert at Digital Earn and tell him that you enjoyed his story. Give him your support, Digital Earn, DIGITALURN, and then follow me over there as well at Storyworthy. And one more time, on behalf of the very talented Albert Corado, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you as well.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. Whether you're making a traditional roasted turkey or spicy turkey tacos, your go-to shrimp cocktail, or your first Cajun risotto, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace your traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
We've locked in low prices to help you save big store-wide. Look for the locked in low prices tags and enjoy extra savings throughout the store. Baker's, fresh for everyone.